Once was a land of woe and strife, where the people were bereft of hope. They prayed to their gods of might and light to deliver the heroes of old. Instead they got heroes. Did you hear the quotes in my voice of moral ambiguity? They may help or may not help you at all, depends on what's in it for them. They kick and they punch and they maul and they smash, they lie and they scheme and they burn and they slash. Succeed or fail, it adds to the tale. Dungeons and Debacle starts now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Dungeons and Debacles podcast. I am your host and dungeon master, Kevin. Going around the table, John.
Hello. I play Alunodas, Elven monk. He has a cart and pony who aren't currently in the episode because they're back at the entrance to this cave.
Okay, and Shane.
I'm Shane. I'm playing Alexander, the human bard wizard, and that's me.
And Hannah.
I'm Hannah, and I'll be playing Talia, the human rogue.
And Blake.
I'm Blake, and I'll be playing Juliet, the eldritch knight / wizard Dragonborn.
So the last time on Dungeons and Debacles podcast, you guys fought a bunch of spiders and dispatched them pretty quickly. You made your way across this rickety ancient bridge fairly easily, except for Turin, who fell through the bridge, and thankfully he had a rope tied to him, and you were able to save him from falling into the chasm. You continued on, and you fought two helmed horrors, which one of them was able to take John down, but you were eventually victorious. You decided to take a long rest after all your battles, and realizing that you hadn't slept for basically 2 days since the Prophet's camp. And while you were sleeping, you heard these terrible roars and screeches coming from the deep behind a door with a carving of Borsch Bonebreaker. And that's where you find yourselves now.
Let's go in.
Alright, so is everybody going in?
Yep.
Correct.
Alright, so you're going to go through this door, and you're going to walk for probably what you think is maybe like a half mile. And the floor is sloping down here, but it's almost like an imperceptible slope until you reach about halfway, and then the angle gets a little steeper. So you're walking down, and you notice that the air is getting a little warmer, and the smell of sulfur is getting a little stronger.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say we were walking into a volcano.
If I didn't know better, I'd think we were walking into a sauna.
Alright, so after a while, this passage that you were going down widens out a little bit, and the floor starts to slope a level and then up slightly, and you find yourselves in this long hallway. Let me reveal some more areas here. Are you going to cast your light spell?
Yeah.
Juliet is also going to cast a light spell, so we have double the lights, which doesn't really help, but if one of ours goes out.
It's not a bad idea.
Guys, I think the floor is lava.
Called it.
You thought this was the game.
What's the radius on your light spell?
Let me check.
I think it was 20 foot.
There's the card, 20-foot radius, yeah. Then an additional dim light for 20 feet.
Hey, look at that.
Chinese.
Well done.
Alright, so you're in this hallway now. So are you moving up?
Yep.
And what's your marching order?
Single
Alunodas
file
and
line.
Talia in front. I think Adel will be in the rear. That way our dark vision people are on the outsides of the group.
Alright, so you're walking up this this corridor as it starts to slope up slightly. And everybody give me a perception check.
11.
14. No, passive of 16.
Passive 14.
Natural 1.
It's nice.
Who had above 13?
Alunodas and Alejandro.
Okay, so you, Alexander, and Turin are going to see about 10 feet in front of Alunodas, there is like this shimmering that spans the entire corridor from the ceiling to the floor to the walls. You can see through it, and it kind of looks like a mirage in the desert, so what's behind it is kind of distorted.
Everybody stop. Something weird is here-ish. And Alunodas points.
Okay.
Does everybody notice it now that it's been pointed out? Or
But what is it?
it's a mirage, an illusion? Maybe Alexander, try firing a crossbow bolt through it.
Why don't you just reach in if it's an illusion?
Because it might be something nasty, like a magical trap.
Or an illusion?
I'm gonna shoot a crossbow at it.
Sounds better.
Okay.
Shouldn't you shoot a crossbow bolt?
Yeah.
No, he's shooting the whole crossbow.
I'm just throwing the entire crossbow at the thing to see what happens.
Okay, so you're going to shoot a bolt through this corridor, through the shimmering, and you see it pass through the shimmering and go through it, and then it disappears into the darkness.
Looks safe to me.
Safe as can be.
Maybe try
Needle.
detect magic.
I mean, we just saw an arrow go through it.
Yeah,
Yep.
but an arrow's not living.
Should we
But
go get...
then we should do an arcana check. Detect magic doesn't necessarily analyze what it is.
True.
I'm
Alright,
going
how
to
about
roll
this?
an
Since
arcana
you
check.
guys are all scared and stuff, Juliet's gonna walk up, put the butt of her halberd through this illusion, and wave it around, and then pull it back out.
Okay, so you stick it through and you wave it around, and you can see it pass through, and it's kind of wavy on the other side, and then you pull it back out, and it's intact.
Yeah,
Anything
I don't
on
know
it?
what you guys are... What?
Give me a perception check.
10?
Passive 16.
No, this would be for Juliet.
Oh.
You don't notice anything, unusual other than the fact that it got a little blurry on the other side of this.
Yeah, there's nothing past there. It's literally just an illusion.
All right, after you.
Aren't you leading the party?
You're the one who's confident.
Okay. Juliet walks forward.
Okay, so as you cross through this plane, through this shimmering, you're going to notice that it gets a lot warmer inside of this. And once you're inside of it, you are starting to see... Give me a perception check.
I'm definitely going to fail this now. It's a 3?
You're kind of making out something that kind of seems like a landscape that's superimposed over this corridor, and the sound has changed. It's gone from being like this echoey cavern to almost like a dead stillness inside of it.
Alright, Juliet continues forward. Heedless of danger.
She's not screaming, so I guess Alunodas will follow.
It's too late, I'm already dead.
Lunadosh, you experienced the same thing when you walked through. Give me a perception check.
21.
You pass through this, and you notice that it gets a lot warmer inside, like almost to the point of when you were in the desert. It's actually hotter than that in this, and you are able to make out what seems to be like some mountains and maybe a fortress that's kind of superimposed on this cavern.
That's very strange. Can we see anything like on the other side, like further east of us?
When you turn to the east, that's where you're seeing currently, because that's where you're pointed, and that's where you see the mountains and the fortress. If you look around, you're going to see that the mountains continue and then slope away on either to your left or your right. But all this is superimposed over the current cavern that you're in.
So if we continue, will we continue in this landscape or in the cavern? Let's keep going.
It's like one of those pictures that you jump through in Mario 64.
Nerd.
All right.
That is Zelda.
It's very similar. It's like 2 notes off.
So are you moving forward?
Yes.
Yep. But I cannot see forward, so I can't move forward.
Okay, stand by.
The fork in the road. Let's pick it up.
So as soon as you pass out of this shimmering, you after about 15 feet, you enter the cavern again, and the shimmering goes away, and it's still warm down here, but not as hot as it was when you were in that shimmering. And then the super imposition of the landscape goes away. To the east of you, it appears the cavern continues, and to the north of you, you are going to see
Sauron's giant fiery testicle.
there is a larger cavern that's probably 15 feet wide, but about 20 feet from you, you see where the magma from below has pushed up through the floor, and now there is this like pool of molten lava that is filling up the corridor.
I say we go east.
Agreed.
Okie dokie. Get in order, people.
What do you think the shimmer was? Connection to another plane? Another point on this plane?
It means that you're a coward for not going in first.
Never know what you find in the tomb of the long-dead sorcerer.
It's okay, I'll protect you.
Wizard, that's slander.
Looks like we got another fork or room up ahead.
All right, so you're going to continue down this corridor to the east, and you are going to enter this room that's probably 30 feet by 30 feet, and it appears to be some sort of storeroom. You're going to see some barrels that you're kind of shocked that they're wood and they've survived down here this long, but in this heat maybe they've just like dried out because there's no moisture in this area. And to the north of you, you're going to see where there is another corridor that branches off to the north, and you're going to see these things on the ground that you think, after seeing the lava out there on the ground, that these are some more lava that's pushed up through the ground. They're in these strips that are probably about maybe 3 feet long and about a foot wide and a foot tall. and then they start moving.
Fire maggots.
So I'm going to need everybody to roll initiative.
Well done, Talia.
Thank you.
All right. So these things start moving toward you. And Talia, you're going to go first.
All right, so I'm going to move to where I have a direct line at them, and I'm going to throw my one dagger at them for 18. 18 is the roll.
That'll hit.
All right, and that's for 5, and then I will do sneak attack.
You can't at the moment.
Oh shoot, you're right. Ignore that. I didn't do that. So that's for 5 piercing damage.
Okay. Next up is the fireworm. It is going to move towards Alunodas, and it is going to try to maneuver its body, and you see it rise up, and then this maw open with flames inside of it, and it's going to try to bite you. That's a 9.
Yeah, like that.
Next up is this other fireworm. It's going to move down towards Talia.
Oh no!
Try to do the same thing. That's a 25.
Oh yeah, that totally hits.
For 6 damage.
Oh.
So it's going to bite down on you, and where it bites on your armor catches fire.
Oh, that's outstanding. Can I put that out, or?
It's only on fire for a moment, and then it'll go out itself. But you're trying to slap at it, trying to put it out. Next up is Adel. He's going to come up here and flank the one with Alunodas. And that's a 9, that's going to miss. And then his second attack, that's an 11, that's going to hit. So he's going to take this Bonebreaker greatsword and smack down at these lava worms, and he's going to hit it, but when he does, you'll see his sword and his hand catch on fire, and he is going to take 2 points of damage.
Don't we have something that makes water?
Yep.
We do indeed. Ooh, we can use that to get past the fiery testicle. And we can make obsidian, which we can use to make a gate later.
We're not playing fucking Minecraft, god damn it.
I'm just thinking that maybe that it would do something to these guys.
Yeah, makes
Probably.
sense.
Alright, in any event, Alunodas is going to attack the one in front of him with his fists. Ooh, that's a crit for the first one. 17 on the crit table.
You get a combat advantage on your next turn.
Okay. So let's go ahead, and that first hit was 9 damage to the worm.
And you are going to take 2 points of damage.
Okay.
As you punch it and your hand catches on fire.
That's okay, buddy. The next one is also a crit.
Damn.
For 10 more damage.
And on the crit
That's a
table,
4 on the crit table.
slowed to half. Your target slowed to half movement until the end of the encounter. Dex save ends DC 10.
And let's go ahead and do a bonus strike.
And it failed its save.
And bonus strike is 23.
All right, that hits, and you are going to take this thing out. You'll see it's like the red glow from it starts to dissipate and turn gray as it starts to cool.
Okay, so Alunodas just strike. With each strike, his hand glows more and more brighter blue until the last one just boop, puts the light out entirely for both his fists and the worm.
All right, next up is Juliet.
Alright. Thinking fast, Juliet pulls out her water skin, but then decides there's a better option. And walks over here and opens up the decanter of endless water with a command word to fire a jet of water at the nearest elemental. geyser.
All right, give me before you do anything else, give me, I think it's a
Strength check.
Yep.
That is an 8.
I'm pretty sure that fails. Did you write down what that does?
What do you mean? Oh, the geyser thing?
Yeah.
Don't you have it written down? I have it written down.
Pushed back into the wall or something.
It's your magic
Oh,
item.
there's nothing in there about being pushed back.
Oh,
Here, let me paste what I have here.
Hold on, I'm trying to bring it up on the internet, but it's being a butthole.
I mean, it has to make a strength check, but as far as I know, I don't have to.
oh,
My bad, I thought it was you.
yeah, I thought that too.
Alright, so the target must succeed on a DC 13 strength check or take 1d4 bludgeoning damage or fall prone. And which one are you shooting it at?
The one next to Talia.
It fails, so that's going to take 1d4 bludgeoning. And roll me a d6.
Say 1.
Alright, so you open up this decanter, and like a fire hose comes out of it and hits this thing. And you see it like pushed back 5 feet. And
15.
15?
I think. Or no, maybe that's just the object. Oh no, it falls prone.
Yeah, it just falls prone. It doesn't get pushed back.
It's the object that gets pushed back, not the living creature.
Alright, so you kind of see it like twist over, and it's pushed a little bit, and the water's hitting it, and you can see that it's doing damage to it. There's this steam coming off of it as the water starts to cool it down.
Did we skip Adel?
No, I was wondering if he was in the line of fire.
Oh.
No, Adel went. He hit it and got caught on fire.
Yeah, but the stream of water, that was my question.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say you miss him. Because this is like a water hose. I mean, you can direct that pretty well. Because it's just a stream of water and you've got 6 seconds to move it around. Alright, anything else you want to do, Juliet?
Yeah, that was only a
Nope,
bonus
that's
action. You still have a full action.
Yeah, but I can't do anything with that action.
Well, you have a long weapon. You can hit it.
I can't use it and the decanter at the same time because the decanter I have to hold.
What cantrips do you have?
Fire bolts. So
Wait.
yeah, I was thinking of that, and I'm like,
If you had big brain magic like myself with Ray of Frost.
I do have Ray of Frost, but I forgot about that. So I guess I'll cast Ray of Frost. Whoosh. Wow, I'm glad the spell cards don't do anything now with this new update. Well, that's cool. It's not on my attack rolls either. Okay. Yeah, wow, it just wiped out everything. Goddamn. Okay, there we go. Maybe? Did it, maybe?
Make a ranged spell attack on a hit. It
There
takes
we
1d8
go.
cold damage.
Oh,
18 to hit.
Increases by d8 when you reach 5th level. Dang. 2d8.
Could be 9 cold damage.
Alright, so you cast Ray of Frost after hitting this with the water, and you're going to see the water start to freeze, and then the ice start to form on these worms as their heat blinks out, and they go cold and gray.
The fire raptor babies.
Alright, is that it for you?
Yep.
Alright, Alexander, you're up.
Ray of Frost on the other dude. 18 to hit.
That hits.
7 cold damage.
Alright, so you cast Ray of Frost, and it goes streaking across the room and hits this thing, and you hear like a kind of like a scream as like steam starts escaping from all over these worms, and they start their glow diminishes and they start going gray, but they're still
it's
alive.
just steam escaping.
Next up is Turin. He's going to move up here, and he sees what's been going on and says, I don't want to catch on fire. Let the spellcasters take care of this. And he's just going to take his spear and put the butt of it against the ground and wait for you guys. Next up is the fireworms. They are going to go after Adel. And that's a 13 that's going to miss. Next up is Talia.
Alright, I'm going to... Actually, I don't have to move. I'm going to throw my dagger. That's a 17 to hit.
That hits.
And now I can use sneak attack.
Damn straight.
For a total of 19 damage after the sneak attack.
Alright, so you take your dagger and you aim it carefully and you throw it across the room. And it sticks in this lava worm momentarily before returning to your hand. And you see the glow completely fade and go gray, and it gets back to your hand. And it doesn't burn you, but you can feel the warmth coming from the handle of this dagger. And you think if you touch the blade, it'd probably be pretty hot.
I'm gonna blow on the blade dramatically.
Alright, so that takes you out of combat.
Yeah, take that, taco shits.
That's what you get for living.
Barrels.
Alright, so you go up to one of the barrels and you touch it, and it like falls apart. And whatever was inside of it is just like this almost like dried up, like desiccated mess at the bottom of the barrel where it's completely dried out.
Do they all do that?
Yep.
Okay then.
Did the worms drop anything?
No, they're just basically cooling pieces of rock at this point.
Juliet's gonna pull Alunodas aside. Alunodas.
What's that?
Turin is becoming a liability.
True.
Can I count on you to move when the time is right?
When the time comes, we'll abandon him. Yeah.
Sounds good. Just making sure we have each other's back.
Yep. We have a job to do.
How far away are you from Turin?
Far enough away that he can't hear, in theory.
It's a quiet conversation. And he seems an incurious.
He can certainly attempt a perception check and see it, but that's up to you as the DM whether or not he can hear it.
Yeah, he can't hear it.
All right.
Honestly, I was going to follow his lead, if the fight had gone on any longer. And now we continue to the north. If we have to, we can go back and try and cool down and walk on the lava. Oh, looks like another shimmer up ahead.
Yeah, so you go north out of this chamber, and there appears to be another one of those shimmer mirages ahead of you about 10 feet.
All right, let's walk through, see what we see this time.
All right, who's going first?
Alunodas takes the lead this time, now that he knows it's safe.
Okay, so this time when you cross through, give me a perception check.
16. Passive.
It's much the same as when you went through the other one. You feel the heat again, and then the superposition of like the landscape that you saw earlier.
Mountains desiccated. Yeah. Ho hum. Ho hum.
All right. So as you continue north, you're going to enter this large chamber that is probably about 50 feet by 60 feet. And towards the northeast of it, there is this large, like crusted over magma pool that is coming up from the ground.
I'm guessing the magma's getting off some light so everyone can see.
Yeah, there's a low reddish glow in the room. You enter this large room, and the heat is even greater in here, and it appears to circle off towards the north of this, and then there is an entrance to another cavern to the west.
Well, so long as the magma's not attacking us, I say we leave it alone and continue to the west.
Yep.
Agree.
So as you get about halfway into this room, give me a perception check.
24.
Pass 10.
7.
You guys take a look at this magma pull over here, and you're like, oh well, there's nothing in this room. And then you start walking towards the west, and Alunodas, out of the corner of your eye, you are going to see like this magma start bubbling up, and you're going to hear a hissing, and then
Something's happening, guys.
as it bubbles up, you're going to see these fiery forms come up out of this magma.
I sure hope they're magma spiders.
We
Probably
caught
just
our
minor fire elementals. Maybe not too minor.
So these shimmering fire elementals come up out of this lava, and I'm going to need everybody to roll initiative. All right. So all of you turn around and see these fiery shapes come up out of this lava, and they start moving toward you. Alexander, you go first.
Yeah, I'm gonna use my my good old ray of frost on the fire elemental to the left. 13
That's going to hit.
for 5 damage. Cold damage. And his movement speed is reduced to 10 feet until the start of my next turn. Pass.
All right. Next up is Talia.
So I'm gonna throw my dagger for an 18.
At which one?
Number 1.
All right, that hits.
For 5, and then I will pass.
All right, so you throw this dagger, and it goes through the fire elemental, and it doesn't seem like seems like it should have done more damage than that.
Well, shoot.
Next up is fire elemental 2, and it is going to go after Turin, because Turin looks tough, and it's going to try to reach out and touch him. That's a 17. That's going to miss. And his next attack, that's a 15. That's going to miss. So next up is Adel, and Adel is going to go over here and try to flank the fire elemental. That's a crit. So that's a 16. So target automatically loses concentration for any spells that affects. So that doesn't really affect him. It's a spellcasting thing. But he did just do a whole bunch of damage.
To his car insurance?
He didn't switch to Geico.
So that's 24 points of damage. But as hard as Adel hits this, it still doesn't seem like he did a lot of damage to it. Alright, next up is Alunodas.
Okay. Standard action, Alunodas is going to disengage. And that's going to be his turn.
Alright, Juliet, you're up.
Alright. Let's move to the side here and unleash a torrent of water once again. He has to make a DC that the fire elemental flanked by Turin and Adel. He has to make a DC 13 strength save.
He fails.
Alright, so he is knocked prone and takes 1d4 bludgeoning damage, which I will roll. It's 1 bludgeoning damage.
Alright, and roll me a d6.
It's 3.
Alright, so the water hits this fire elemental, and you would think it would be knocked prone, but it's still just standing there, floating above the ground, because they can't be knocked prone.
Obviously, you've never seen a fire laid low. Also, I'm going to use my action to cast Ray of Frost before you move that initiative ahead. I see what you're doing there. Say 20 to hit.
That hits.
Nice.
That will deal 12 points of cold damage. And that will end Juliet's turn.
All right, so you hit it with this water, and you hear this hissing as it almost immediately turns into steam when it hits it, and it pushes it, the fire elemental back slowly, and then you hit it with this ray of frost, and then all the water starts freezing, and you could see kind of like a veneer of like frost and ice forming on it, and more steam escapes, and then after a few seconds, it melts away.
Nice to meet you, bitch.
All right, fire elemental 1 is up.
I can just reach Adel.
So it is going to come up behind Adel and reach out and try to touch someone.
You always hurt the ones you love.
That's a 21 that's going to hit for 12 damage. And that's a 25 that's going to hit for 10 damage. So it's basically going to come up behind Adel and give him a big hug. And it's going to hurt. As Adel's cloak catches fire. And he starts screaming, trying to shrug this fire elemental off. Next up is Turin. And he's going to laugh and says, "Ha, noble boy, can't you take the heat?" And he is going to attack this fire elemental in front of him.
Turin's dropping burns hotter than these fire elementals. Damn.
Nice.
It's just interesting that that's coming from the guy who, sat the last fight out.
And Talia's throwing shade.
Alright, so that's a 19 and a crit. So this thing is going to take 24 points of damage. And he's going to roll the crit table. It's a 9. That's Unleash the Birdies. Your attack hits so hard it dazes your opponent until the end of your next turn. And Turn is going to take 5 points of fire damage as he stabs his spear into this fire elemental. The flames lick up his spear and then catch his arm on fire. Alright, next up is Alexander.
Back again. I am going to use Ray of Frost on Fire Elemental 2. 22 to hit.
That hits.
9 cold damage.
Alright, so you cast this Ray of Frost and it slams into this fire elemental, and you see that frost form again, but soon after melts. Is that it for your turn?
Yes.
Alright, Talia, you're up.
Alright, so I'm gonna move up here and throw my dagger again. 19 to hit.
That hits.
And sneak attack. For an extra 4 damage, so 10 damage total.
Alright. Next up is Fire Elemental 2. It is going to take a swing at Turin. That's a 16, that'll miss. And a 23, that's going to hit for 11 damage. Next up is Adel. He's going to say, "I can take the heat." And he's going to attack that Fire Elemental. That's an 18, that's going to hit. So Adel is going to take a sideways swing across the midsection of this fire elemental, and then you are going to see it burst into flames as it climbs up his blade and his arm, and then it's going to wink out of existence. And Adel is going to take 1 point of fire damage. Alright, next up is Alunodas.
Alright, Alunodas is going to swing wide this way. Okay, don't try to move things while holding control. Just a note. And come up behind the elemental. and punch it. First one is 11.
That's going to miss.
Second one is 17
That'll hit.
for 9 damage. And then bonus strike. 25
That hits.
for 10 more damage. And how much damage does Alunodas take?
Alunodas takes 6 points of fire damage as you punch this thing, and then the flames just climb up your arms, and then you're trying to put them out with your bare hands and burning your hands.
Of course.
Next up is Juliet.
All right. Juliet once again angles for... Actually, this time I'm going to fire the Ray of Frost first. Let's say 15 to hit.
That'll hit.
It's going to be 7 cold damage. And then Juliet's going to unleash the Kraken on this guy. And he has to make a DC 13 strength.
He makes it.
Alright, nothing happens. He's good.
Roll me
You do
1d6.
D4 plus D6 damage.
What?
Or maybe just D6.
Yeah, roll a d6.
I don't know what the D6 is for.
Alright.
I'm just assuming the D6 is additional damage.
That'd be 6 damage.
Alright, so the ray of frost crashes into this thing, and you see the frost forming again. And then you unleash the decanter of endless water, and steam starts escaping from it, and you see its form start to get less fiery and more transparent, and it looks like it's hurting it pretty well. Next up's the fire elemental. It's going to start fighting against this geyser of water that you're pointing at it, and start moving toward you, and it's going to reach out and try to touch you. That's a 22 and a 26.
Ouch.
So you are going to take 21 points of fire damage, Juliet, but that'll be half because you're a red.
How much damage was that again?
21.
Alright, cool. That's
Divided
it.
by 2.
Cool. Excellent.
Next up is Turin. He's going to move up to flank with Alunodas. That's a 21. That's going to hit. And a 19. That'll hit. So he plunges his spear into this thing twice. That's 15 damage. And then he's going to take 3 points of damage as he plunges the spear into it, and then the flames climb up the spear and hit his arm. Next up is Alexander.
That is I. Ray of Frost. My good old trustful. 17 hit.
That hits.
6 cold damage.
Alright, next up's Talia.
Alright, I will move. Don't hold control while you try to move things. I will move up here so that I have easy line of sight and throw my dagger one last time. Hopefully. For 15?
That hits.
For 4 damage, and then I'm going to sneak attack for an extra 16 damage for a total of 20 damage.
Alright, what's it look like when you take this thing out?
I'm gonna throw my dagger, and it's gonna hit it right in the forehead, and just steam is going to escape as this thing dwindles to nothing.
Yay!
Huzzah.
Yay!
So you guys are out of combat.
Take a quick breather, spend a hit die.
Don't we have Adel with his healing stuff? Shouldn't he use that first?
I suppose, but he can use that in combat. We can't all use our hit die in combat.
Every minute we stay here is a minute more the raptors have to grow in strength.
Technically, I think they're called Mephites.
The raptor horde.
And I think that's probably a good place to end it. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dungeons and Debacles podcast. If I could ask a halfling-sized favor, give us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. It's the best way to support us. New episodes come out every Monday, so make sure to check your podcast app. Do you have an idea to make the podcast better? Tell us about it on Twitter or Facebook. You can also check out our website to see all the maps, lore, and characters at DungeonsandDebaclespodcast.com. And now a word from our fantasy sponsor. Want to throw hatchets? We got hatchets, and you can throw them at the hatchet throw. Bring your own hatchet or use some of ours. We don't care. We got big hatchets and small hatchets. We even have very small axes. Want to throw daggers? We don't have daggers. We have hatchets, and you can throw them inside our building. You can throw them at stumps with red circles painted on them. We also got stumps shaped like half-orcs because they are attacking us, but they don't have red circles on them. So come to the hatchet throw in downtown Asheville. We also have ale, wine, and mead. People say hatchet throwing and ale is not a good combination, but what do they know? We also have hatchets to throw, but no daggers. Hatchet throw.
We're finally on the map, guys. After all these years.
About time. Our first record didn't take off, but this one.
I've got faith in these 2 singles leading up to our album.
What are the names of our 2 singles?
Into the Depths of the Dungeon and Bonebreaker. But so those are 2 originals, but we're actually a cover band, you know?
Oh,
Yeah, it's
gotcha.
that Daisies and Crossbows cover.
I see what you did there.
It's a Metalocalypse cover.
You guys take care of those fire elementals like a champ. I was wondering if you were going to say, "Oh, I've got that decanter."
Yeah, Talia's thinking on her feet.
I do my best.
I mean, you gave us the adamantine weapons to go after the armor. You gave us the decanter to go after the fire. You're too nice to us sometimes. But I guess
Almost
that
like
makes
it
up
was-
for all the mean dice rolls.
Yeah, the dice were not kind to you today, John. They weren't kind to Adel, too. He wasn't hitting anything.
Yep.
The music you heard on this episode was Fire Prelude by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. CreativeCommons.org/licenses/by/3.0.